Welcome and thank you for listening to the Daily Sports Dose. This episode of the Daily Sports Dose is brought to you by Tri-Alliance Commercial Real Estate. Tri-Alliance, ranked a Future 50 company by Baltimore Smart CEO magazine, continues to climb the rankings of the Baltimore Business Journal's annual Top 25 Real Estate Brokerages in the Baltimore area. Tri-Alliance, why rent when you can own? Yes, thank you for listening to the Daily Sports Dose. My name is Carter Smith. You can find me on Twitter at DieHardBirds. And I just want to give a quick little recap of all those NFL games yesterday because there were some good ones if you missed a few of them. And I just want to start with this Tennessee-Kansas City game and Patrick Mahomes' first NFL game back since his knee injury he suffered a few weeks back. And Ryan Tannehill and the Titans spoiled his welcome party in the final minutes as they scored a touchdown with 30 seconds left after the Chiefs' special teams blew, putting the game out of reach. The long snapper gets bad snap, and the punter threw it in to no man's land, gets a 15-yard penalty, and the Titans get the ball back, move down the field, and get the win. The Titans moved 5-5, actually, so they're right back in that playoff picture. They're not exactly in the wild card, but they're in the hunt for sure. And Ryan Tannehill, he's been very impressive in his starts with the Titans. They look very motivated each week that he's been out to play. One thing that scares me looking at the Titans is they have an energy that the team brings each week, which can only be attributed to Coach Mike Vrabel. Even if his team doesn't have the most talent, you know they're going to come to play each and every Sunday because that's just in the team's DNA. Mike Vrabel was a very fiery guy when he was in the NFL, played on defense. So you know a Mike Vrabel-led team is going to be ready to play. So if they're in the playoffs at the end of the season, I'd be scared if I was a 1 or 2 seed because that's exactly the type of team you don't want to face in the playoffs. And moving on to the next game, Tampa Bay and Arizona. This is pretty much a battle of two irrelevant teams at this point in the season. Tampa Bay and Jameis Winston have been struggling, and then Arizona is just trying to give Kyler Murray a leash that he can work with, kind of get some games, see what he can do, and then maybe next season they can be a little bit more competitive. Tampa Bay comes, hard-fought game is back and forth, but Tampa Bay gets the best of Arizona in that matchup. Moving on to the New York Jets and the Giants in the Battle of New York. Sam Darnold and the Jets got the best of the Giants in this game. The Jets got out to early to a 14-point lead, but the Giants battled back. It was pretty much the Jets getting leads and then the Giants battling back. Saquon Barkley had a touchdown. Le'Veon Bell got in the end zone. Jamison Crowder had a nice catch in the end zone. But the Jets were able to get that bad taste of last week's loss to the Dolphins out of their mouth. And moving on to the Falcons and Saints game, pretty much the biggest shocker from this week came in this game. The Falcons were able to dominate the Saints, and this is what I love about NFL teams who are not having the best of season. Even though the Falcons are in last in the division, they're not going to make the playoffs realistically. When a team is facing that kind of circumstances, you hear all this stuff about their coach maybe getting fired each week. When a team is able to come out and fight each week, and you have to tip your cap to them because they grabbed a win from the Saints despite all the outside noise and circumstances surrounding their team thus far. And I like Matt Ryan. I think he's a good quarterback. The Falcons have just been in some bad situations, So, maybe a coaching change will still come, but the fact that they're still fighting each week shows that Dan Quinn, they still like Dan Quinn and the Falcons. You know what? They might surprise some people later and burst some people's bubble later in the season. So the Browns and the Bills is the next topic of conversation, and the Browns are able to end their 3-game losing streak with a win against the Bills. So this game went to the very end as Bills kicker Stephen Hauschka missed a kick to pretty much give the Browns the win, as the Browns kind of got back on track. Baker Mayfield had been taking a lot of heat lately from the media for being immature. I think Baker Mayfield, the media is definitely just trying to make a story out of that, pretty much, because they're just dissecting everything he does, and you can't win if you're Baker Mayfield, because everything you do, the media is just gonna criticize. So, but winning, I think, takes a little of that criticism away. Kareem Hunt was able to play for the Browns the first time this season. He didn't do much in that game. He rushed for 30 yards, but he'll definitely surprise teams. He'll bring an element to the Browns offense that teams are going to be forced to prepare for, because Kareem Hunt's a pretty great running back. And having Kareem Hunt added to that backfield just makes the Browns offense a little bit more dangerous and a little bit more annoying for teams to prepare for. Next up, we have the Ravens as they beat the Bengals 49-13. Lamar Jackson came out and put on a show versus the Bengals. He was able to get a perfect passer rating for the second time this season, which has only happened twice in NFL history, with the other being Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger back in 2007. So people can discount the win because of the Bengals, their winless team, but Lamar makes plays each game that no other quarterback can replicate. He'll still have haters every week who say he can't throw, he can't make this throw, he can't make that throw, he's just a running back. But a perfect passer rating twice in the same season. He made pretty darn good throws. His legs speak for themselves, but the tape speaks for itself. So people are still going to talk and say he's not a great quarterback. And I think that's just a bunch of baloney, because he's proved so far that he can lead a team with his arm and his legs. So next up, the Bears and the Lions. So Mitch Trubisky and the Bears, they get a win against a Stafford-less team. Jeff Driscoll, old Cincinnati quarterback and Florida quarterback, started for the Lions in this game. This is pretty, honestly, not much here in this game. I mean, Mitch Trubisky and the Bears, they get a win, but, I mean, I wouldn't be ready. If I was a Bears fan, I wouldn't be too excited about this game, because, I mean, the Lions, they're not a great team. I'm not going to lie. Jeff Driscoll at the helm in his first start, probably in a while. And the Bears get the win. So good for the Bears, good for Mitch Trubisky. Maybe they'll get back on track, but I don't see that happening. And next, the Dolphins beat the Colts as Brian Hoyer started his first start for the Colts. And the Dolphins grabbed their second win of the season, which is probably twice the amount of wins people thought they were going to get all season, because they were looking like a really bad team. But Ryan Fitzpatrick was able to make some plays and get the Dolphins going against a very good Colts defense. And the Pittsburgh Steelers get a win against the Rams. Two teams going in opposite directions. The Steelers are slowly but surely becoming a part of the AFC playoff picture. I think that win put them in a wild card picture if the season ended today. Mason Rudolph looked very poised under center for the Steelers. And that trade for Minkah Fitzpatrick, that makes them look so smart. That general manager down in Pittsburgh, Minkah Fitzpatrick had another touchdown. So when a team has a quarterback that can make plays in a strong defense, they're going to be a team that you got to look out for come the playoffs. So the Steelers in the AFC, that is a team I'm so scared of playing, because if Mason Rudolph continues to develop and become a better quarterback, the defense stays the same, you're going to surprise people come December. And I hope the Ravens come out and play when in December because Pittsburgh's looking very good. And also, the Los Angeles Rams coach Sean McVay, there are some very, very confusing plays that they made. One in particular that I saw was that fourth down fake punt where the punter came. I forget the Rams punter's name, but they're lining up in the punting formation, and the Rams punter comes and does a fake punt, and they don't get the first down. They actually threw an interception on that play. There's no reason why you should do that. They're on like their 20-yard line. That just looked like a confusing play. The Rams' offense has looked very subpar this season, and they got some work to do in LA because that NFC is a strong NFC, and you keep dropping games, you're going to be watching from home come playoff time. In the last two games we'll get to, the Packers beat the Panthers. Aaron Rodgers gets back on track with the win after they dropped a game last week. So good for the Packers. They improved to 7-2, I believe. I think 7-2 or 8-2, and the Panthers and Kyle Allen and who's going to be taking the reins for the Panthers the rest of the season drop a game. I think the Panthers are still a good team. They're going to be competitive. Kyle Allen's impressed a lot of people, so they'll be a team to watch. And Minnesota, last but not least, beats Dallas 28-24. Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, pretty solid team in all facets. Kirk Cousins at the helm. He's been throwing the ball a lot, making great throws. The defense has been absolutely running to the ball. Very electric defense against Dallas. That was a pretty fun game to watch if you stayed up for that. But I'll tell you, Dallas drops to 5-4. They still have the lead in their division because that just speaks to how bad the division's going right now for them. But Dallas, even with the loss, still in first place in the division, but very close in that division as the Eagles are right on their tail at 5-4. And looking at the playoff pictures right now, that AFC playoff picture, Patriots sitting pretty at 8-1. The Ravens 7-2. Texans had the bye. They were 6-3. Chiefs 6-4. In the wild card position now, the Bills are 6-3. The Steelers are sitting at 5-4. And then you have your in the hunt. The Raiders are at 5-4. Colts at 5-4. Titans at 5-5. Jags at 4-5. Chargers at 4-6. Broncos at 3-6. Browns at 3-6. And then moving over to the NFC, the 49ers on top of the NFC as they're sitting pretty at 8-0. The Packers 8-2. The Saints 7-2. Cowboys are 5-4. Seahawks and the Vikings have the wild card positions right now. The Seahawks have a record 7-2. Vikings are 7-3. And then you're in the hunt. You have Rams, Eagles, Panthers all 5-4. Bears sitting at 4-5. And the Lions and Cardinals at 3-5-1 and 3-6-1. So this is going to be exciting as we wrap up the end of the season. The wild card and in the hunt in the AFC are going to be things to look for as everyone's very close. The Raiders look like they can make a run of the division. They've been winning games, and they're at 5-4, pretty much one game behind the Chiefs. So that division will look good. The Steelers keep winning games and keep sitting right there in the race for the division. And this will be an interesting end of the season. So we'll see. So that's it for today's little recap of the NFL and the games yesterday. We'll have some previews and a recap of this Monday night game tonight coming out on Wednesday. So thank you for listening to the Daily Sports Dose. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at DieHardBirds. And I'll see you on Wednesday. Thank you.